Right, we're at 10:37 now on a Friday morning. I must say, this regular surgery that we do, our dream surgery, is fast becoming our most popular one. You've even eclipsed the podiatrist and the feet surgery, and that's saying something. Psychologist, dream expert Ian Wallace back in the studio with me, answering all your dream questions. A little later, we're going to focus on stress dreams relating to the festive season. If you've got any of those, maybe it's not being able to fit the turkey in the oven, something like that, something recurring related to Christmas or Christmas parties at work or whatever it might be. 80295 to get in touch with us. But right now, Ian is with me in the studio. Ian, good to see you again.
Great to see you, Stephen.
Any interesting dreams since the last time we met?
Lots and lots of interesting dreams. How about yourself? You've been dreaming?
Yeah, I've had some really vivid dreams. I'm full of the cold, so I've been taking some medicinal products, over-the-counter medicinal products for it. It seems to encourage dreaming, I think. I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, anything that disturbs your sleep in any way, either to make you really drowsy and sleep, will make you dream differently. So you'll wake up a bit more, remember your dreams a bit more.
They seem more vivid.
Yeah, also when you're feeling a wee bit poorly, you also, as well as it impacting you physically, it impacts you emotionally. So you process more of your emotions in your dreams when you're feeling a wee bit ill.
Let's talk about bad dreams. Story in the news this week about bad dreams helping to control fear when we're awake. This is researchers, university researchers in Switzerland and the United States, looking at how the brain responds to different types of dream. What's going on with bad dreams, Ian?
So one of the things we always have to remember, Stephen, is the dream doesn't happen to us. We happen to the dream and we create everything in it. And one of the fundamental functions of dreaming is to process emotions. So we might experience the dream as bad, but we're just trying to send ourselves a really powerful, vivid message, kind of trying to scare ourselves into taking some action. So I often say to my clients, there's no such thing as a bad dream. All you have to do is work with the imagery in the dream, and the more powerful the imagery is, the more powerful the opportunity you have in waking life.
And do you get this research? Do you agree that it is going to help us in our waking time to have bad dreams?
Yeah, well, what happens, the research showed the main fear centre in the brain is called the amygdala, and it shows that there's a high level of amygdala activation in dreaming. So when in waking life, when we step into uncertainty, when we step into a fearful situation, we often shrink back from it. And the dreaming process is one way of preparing us for stepping into uncertainty in waking life and actually finding the opportunity into it. So it's a very, very healthy thing. Even though bad dreams can seem a bit scary, they're a very, very healthy process.
Do we all have bad dreams, or are some people more prone to them than others?
The people who have disturbed sleep patterns, so maybe shift workers or young parents or anyone who doesn't have a comfortable sleeping environment, will tend to have less good quality dreams. They'll have more disturbed dreams. So these will be seen as bad dreams and experienced as bad dreams. But there's people always like to think that you just should have nice dreams when you're lying on some silk cushions being licked by puppies.
Oh, if only. If only.
But that doesn't work, because the key thing with dreaming is to process those emotions and make sense of paradoxes in your waking life. So that's why we create scary dreams. That's why we like going to the movies and watching scary films or watching suspense dramas on TV. It's that feeling of stepping into uncertainty and finding the opportunity in it.
And if you've got a recurring bad dream and you deal with it, if you buy your book or research it and get to understand what is going on, is that going to make it less likely to come back to you?
It will just fade away. One of my clients from a few years ago was an 82-year-old gentleman who'd been having the same dream 3 times a week for 65 years. And it was an unfortunate incident in his teenage years that was the trigger for the dream. But once we worked through the dream, it faded within a few weeks.
Wow. So we're going to do on the phone-in with you a little bit later after 11 this morning, any stress-related dreams, especially maybe something related to Christmas. You got anything that comes back at this time of the year that's related to the stress of the festive season?
Yeah, there's the usual one of trying to pack bags or not being able to get to the airport in time. That's the classic one of not feeling prepared or just wanting to get away from it all.
I've had that one, running late for the airport, being on a train that's not getting to the airport in time, it stops in a tunnel and things like that.
Yeah, it's all about missing an opportunity and not feeling fulfilled at the end of it.
Right, okay, so it is dream surgery, always a hit when we do it. We'll open the doors just after 11 o'clock for it, but get your questions in now, especially maybe any stress-related dreams that you have, any festive stress-related dreams. It's Friday on BBC Radio Scotland. It's time to open up our dream surgery again. Our dream expert, Ian Wallace, back in the studio with me this morning. And we're kind of looking ahead to Christmas this morning, Ian, aren't we, with maybe any Christmas-related dreams, especially... It's a stressful time. Stress dreams. They're a common theme, aren't they?
Yeah, any dreams at all where you feel that you are late for something, that you're not prepared, that you haven't bought any gifts, that the turkey is still in the freezer, all those sorts of dreams.
Or burning the turkey.
Burning the turkey, yes.
That's one I've seen coming up. What's that about? What's going on there?
So anytime we dream about food and create a dream about food, it's about some fulfillment in our waking life. And because at Christmas and also recently at Thanksgiving, we have that idea of celebrating together and collectively and celebrating our collective value, then it suggests that that celebration has maybe gone on a little bit too long and we're being too introspective, and we should actually just stop at that point and take action. And most of these dreams are all about that. They're all about planning and planning and planning and never actually taking that first step and making a commitment to doing something.
If you've got any questions about dreams that you've got, especially what we like to deal with, don't we, Ian? Our dreams that have maybe been coming back to people again and again, and it's really bothered them. Although we had a really good one last time, remember? And it was a very vivid, it was a nightmare, basically, and it had happened long before, but the person was still disturbed by anything like that. You can get in touch with us on 80295 or pick up the phone. It's 08085 92 95 00 if you want to give us a call. Robin in Edinburgh says, dreaming is free. I'm taken by the concept that the way we dream now is a former form of communication from many moons ago, when we communicated with each other by projecting a picture to the person we were communicating with. This form of communication is so little used, a bit like our appendix, still there, but not necessarily needed. My dream was a beautiful red Tesla, and I was showing off what it could do on its computer board to former workmates. What do you think? Is there something stretching back to the past with dreams?
Well, the earliest records that we have of dreaming are from 32,000 years ago, from the caves of the Chauvet Pont d'Arc in the Ardèche and also in Altamira in Spain. And they depict the most common dream, the chase dream, the pursuit dream. So it's something that humans naturally do. It's something that mammals do, and probably birds do it as well. So it's a fundamental biological and neurological process. Robin's suggesting there's maybe some form of telepathy going on there. I'm not so sure about that, but I do know that 98% of our awareness in waking life happens unconsciously, and the main way that we work with that awareness is through dreaming. So there probably is some suggestion there that there's a lot more out there than we are consciously sensing. 80295
for your dream questions for Ian this morning. We can get to the bottom of it for you. My dog used to dream a lot. What are dogs dreaming about? Cats, what are they dreaming about?
Well, it's really interesting when you observe them. So dogs tend to run. You see the legs going and they sniff the air. So I'd imagine dogs usually dream about their owners and food. So I suppose a dog's ideal dream is being in a sausage factory. and cats, when you observe them, it's that same idea of pursuit. They prowl. So you see them stalking, their tails are twitching, and they're slowly creeping forward. So cats are probably dreaming about ruling planet Earth, I would think.
Yeah, they do, don't they? 80295 to text in your questions for Ian. He's here to help with dream surgery this morning. Now, it's been a kind of long-held belief that cheese will cause you to dream more and lead to nightmares as well. The British Cheese Board, yes, there is one of them, has done some research to this and seems to debunk the whole thing. There's no connection between cheese and dreams, they say. What do you think?
There's absolutely none. There was a study done in 2005 by Dr. Judith Bryans, who was sponsored by the Cheese Marketing Board, and it suggested that all different sorts of cheeses produce different sorts of dreaming. So if you had red Leicester or cheddar or whatever, but that suggested they were kind of psychedelic. And I just had that vision of, after that report came out, if you were going into a club or something, you'd get frisked for cheese. So cheese has absolutely no impact on your dream content. What it does do is that because it's fatty, it's indigestible. So it takes a while for your stomach and digestive system to process it, so you're a bit more restless, so you wake up more, your sleep's more disturbed, so you can have more disturbed dreams. But if you have a big vindaloo before you go to bed, you'll have exactly the same effect. So it's the fact it's hard to digest rather than any substance like tryptophan in the cheese.
Anything that we know really stimulates dreams, really kind of help. What's alcohol like for dreaming?
Well, alcohol is quite interesting because it starts off, people tend to use alcohol as a sedative before they go to bed, think, oh, I'll just have a couple of glasses of wine and that will settle me for the night. But after 3 or 4 hours, as your liver processes the alcohol, it turns into an aldehyde, which is a stimulant. So that's why you suddenly wake up after 3 or 4 hours after you've had a couple of glasses of wine or some beers before you go to bed. And it tends to reduce your dream content and again have that kind of fitful, disturbed dream content. So there's no real substance you can take to make your dream better. There are things that kind of psychotropic things that people use like galamantine for lucid dreaming, but even those are a bit useless. So the best thing to do is just to make your bedroom a haven, make it really nice and dark, quite cool, no distractions in there, preferably no electronics, and just use it as a place for dreaming, and that gives you the best quality sleep, which provides the best quality dreams.
08085 92 95 00 if you've got any dream questions for Ian. We're going to go to one in just a second. Or 80295 if you've got a dream that you want explained. He's here to help this morning. I know a lot of people that swear by those, chamomile teas and lemon and ginger teas and stuff, last thing at night to relax them before sleeping. Do they have any impact on dream patterns?
They do, but again, not from the actual substance. It's more of the ritual that you are saying to yourself, I'm preparing myself for a restful sleep. So the things that people do, like taking a bath with lavender oil in it and candles around it and all that sort of stuff, it can be very useful, but it's just that idea of setting the intent of having a really peaceful night's sleep where you can have some lovely dreams in that sleep.
Let's go to the phone lines. 08085 92 95 00 if you've any questions for Ian this morning, dream related questions, or you can text them in to us. It's 80295 to get in touch. I can't wait to hear this one. It's Graham and he's in Ayr this morning. Morning, Graham.
Good morning.
Morning. Tell us about your dream.
Stephen, yes, it's not exactly a Christmas one, but my mother passed away in February nearly 2 years ago. And after she passed away, I had to visit the house every day to open and close curtains. One morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was closing my car door and I looked up at the study window and there was a wee boy's face looking down at me, smiling. The wee boy ducked down as if playing a game. So I didn't bother and I just went about my work after that. Well, in July of last year, I had a dream where all of a sudden I was on a bus and this man came down the centre aisle and it was the wee boy, but he'd grown up. He was a man now. He had a tweed jacket. He had a bit of heather in his buttonhole, a lovely face. And he said to me, Graham. And I said, yes. And he says, you've just died. And I said, you're kidding. He said, no, you've just died. And I said, what about my wife? And he said, don't worry, she knows and she's fine. And then I realised there was a girl sitting next to me in like 80s hairdo, a brown business suit, and she says, don't worry, I've just died too. And I looked up the bus and I couldn't see the end of it. It just went forever.
Oh.
And then I realised we were in Kilmarnock. And yes, I know. And we were near the Howard Park, because I grew up in Kilmarnock, and we were near the Howard Park, and this girl said, does anyone know where this street is? Because I need to get off. And I said, yes, I do. I know where it is. I'll walk you there. And this man said, no, Graham, you have to stay on. And I woke up.
So what you seem to be saying to us is heavens in Kilmarnock.
Oh, I don't know, gosh. You know something, but if that's the way you go, it was lovely.
How did you feel when you woke up, Graham, from it?
Well, I had to write it down right away because I thought, I'm just going to forget this. So I wrote it down and I emailed or I messaged my brothers and sisters and told them. One of my sisters seemed to remember that my mother in her latter days saw a man in a tweed jacket with something in his back. I don't know. So I don't know. It's a bit spooky for a early morning, but I've just always wanted to know: is it the grief, or was it? What does it mean?
Here's the man, Ian. What a dream!
Graham, that's a fabulous dream. It sounds like a Kilmarnock remake of The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anytime we dream about someone passing on or we're involved in that situation in waking life, Graham, it's always about some transformation. So it's a maturation process where you maybe let go of your younger self and become more adult and more mature. So that whole process of clearing out your mother's house and doing all that and looking after it is part of the grieving process. It's just part of letting go. And then when you're dreaming that you're on the bus, any time that you dream of a vehicle, Graham, you're thinking about your progression through life, how to get to where you want to go. And because it's a bus, it's a collective experience, it's a collective group of people travelling on. So that little child you saw at the window, the little child represents the start of your grieving process, effectively. And then because the child has become a man, your grieving process has matured, and you've also matured in letting your mother go, still holding her in your heart, but letting go of her in physically in the earth. So then the girl next to you with the 80s hairdo and the brown suit, when she says to you, you've died as well, all she's saying to you is, it's you saying to yourself, Graham, that you've gone through a major transformation in your life, and there's an old part of you that you let go of, but there's a wiser, more mature, experienced character that you're now stepping into. And then when you get to Kilmarnock and to Howard Park, and you know what way to go, you kind of realise you can't go back to that childhood life, that you've got to step into adulthood and continue evolving and growing and maturing as a man. So it's a really, really healthy and positive dream, Graham. It's all about that maturation and the acceptance of what you can hold on to in life and what you sometimes have to let go of.
Does that make sense, Graham?
Wow, that's fantastic, isn't it? Yes, it does actually. I've been wanting to know who to contact about it, because I've never had a dream like that in my life, and it was so realistic, and everything was so calm. I wasn't upset or worried or anything like that. Everything was so calm, but strange.
Yeah, well, I hope we've helped today. What does that dream tell us about Graham as a person? Because it's quite a deep, complex way of thinking through things that his mind... I mean, when I think of dreaming, I think about eating giant chocolate bars and then being chased by giant rabbits. Nothing as profound as that. Does that tell us something about Graham, that dream?
Yeah, it reflects Graham's a deep thinker.
Thanks.
Not a chocolate fiend. Graham's what you've been doing there, Graham, is the brain's an amazing thing. It's 100 billion neurons, quadrillions of connections, and you've actually created this story, Graham, as a way of you accepting a passage through a life stage. And because you're so calm about it, then you have become calm about that acceptance. And any symbolism around death, we have this idea of death as being quite a scary thing sometimes, but we also, in that, we honour the past and we lay it to rest. And that's what you've been doing there. And you lay the past to rest so you can step into the future. And you're doing that in a really calm and powerful way, Graham.
This has turned out well, Graham. You've got an explanation for your dream, and you've been called a deep thinker on BBC Radio Scotland.
I know.
You can put that on a poster.
People that know me won't recognise it.
Graham, pleasure to speak to you. Thanks for your call this morning. Let's get to texts in before we wrap this up this morning. Right. Dave has texted us. Hi. Dream about being chased and then realise I'm naked. I get it often. Tom has the same dream, being completely naked in a public place. Tom, meet Dave. Dave, meet Tom. What's going on?
So being chased, Dave's dream, is the absolutely most common dream, number one. And being naked is the fourth most common dream. And it's usually when we create this dream when we're going into some new situation in waking life where we feel a bit exposed and a bit vulnerable. So sometimes we're not completely naked. We might have an item of clothing on, but it can happen when we go into a new job or a new relationship. And the action from the dream, because a dream is just a dream until we put it into action, is sometimes that when you go into a new situation, you have to open up a bit more so people can see you for who you really are and see your talents that you can share with them.
But taking your clothes off on the first day in a new job is not recommended.
Not unless you're a stripper.
Yep. Ian, it's always a pleasure. Dream surgery, always a hit with us. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
My pleasure.